She will.
These three, for sure. And local loans accounts for the remainder. There are some very new pieces that are on display that were just acquired by the museum last November from the Souls Grown Deep Foundation. So this is an organization that's dedicated to raising the profile of African American artists in the South. So identifying, promoting, placing their work.
This show?
Yeah, we have 4 pieces.
From that effort.
Yeah, because last November, with the help of one of our major donors, Marguerite Hoffman, the museum purchased 7 works from Souls Grown Deep, 4 quilts, and 3 other books. So we'll be seeing 1 of the quilts and 3 of the works, and they are
Isn't it amazing how the evolution of color in art has kind of come full circle, and these canvases remind you of quilts. I mean, they're very sections.
Yeah. So they have broken. It's a bit arbitrary, but they have broken sections of the exhibit to different sub-themes. So this room is the sea. So this Devenhorn, which I know you know so well,
She knows.
is part of the Ocean Park series. Ocean Park, after the neighborhood in Santa Monica
where he
had
lived.
the studio. So he worked on this series for pretty much the last 20 years of his career. He created about 135 works with this theme. And
how would you analyze this theme? Just mature color sections? And that's one of the evolutions of from Impressionism to modern abstractism, is the sections of color.
He was very explicit. He got the idea for this. He used to work, before he started on the series, mostly representation. And he saw an exhibit in Los Angeles in about 1966. And it was a large exhibit of Matisse. And there were 2 paintings in the exhibit that were really his kind of eureka moment.
Yeah.
So you've probably seen me show these. So this is a view of Notre Dame.
I don't think I have seen that.
That's a Matisse. It's so abstract.
Yes, this is.
Yeah. So it's amazing to me as I now go in my own career from fantasy, realism to abstractism, that here's Matisse.
And this was
I never would imagine seeing this by him.
1914.
Wow.
I mean, it's just so different.
So this is a view
of
out
him.
the window at Collioure in the south of France. This is a view of Notre Dame out the window. So Devenhorn looked at these
and had a moment.
And had a moment. For the next 20 years, he worked off of this theme. I read a memoir of a young student who ended up sharing studio space with him. And, initially this student was so dumb he didn't even realize who had space on the other side of this building. But eventually came to know Devenhorn. And I believe it's this one. This poster was above his work.
Oh, okay.
That's how much inspiration.
Oh, yeah, he really wanted to look at it every day. Tell us about the 3-dimensional.
Yeah, so this is a piece by Anne Trulin. She was really one of the first minimalists, although she resisted that description. She didn't consider herself a minimalist, but that's what she's called. She differs from the minimalists in 2 important ways. the beautiful, intense color that she uses. She created, she did drawings, she did paintings, but these column shapes were what she worked on in the last part of her career. And these are handmade, so very different from the minimalists who were more into industrial materials. She would sand and apply layers of color. So when you look at this, you know, if you're out in the lobby and you look at this, you just see a blue stick.
Right.
Okay.
But as you get closer, I had to move in close to see that wonderful
Look at the
stripe.
translucent,
Yeah.
the
Kind of blended at the bottom.
And all of her sculptures like this have a piece in the base to raise them up above the floor just a little bit. So they all have this floating
Circle at the bottom.
So that's what the band is for.
Yeah. I was at...
That's not painted, that she intentionally made a stripe there?
Oh, yeah, that is painted.
Okay.
But I'm saying it doesn't sit flush on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
On the website, they show you what the underside of this looks like, and there's a little bevel that holds it up off the floor.
That's interesting. That is
So you get this floating
yeah.
feeling of color in space, and you have to, you know, interact with it.
Is this also Dibbencorn?
This is Bryce Martin, so he also is considered a minimalist, but again, very lush colors. He, for a time, lived part of the year in Greece, and so even though this is America will be, this
was painted done in Greece.
To Corfu.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it, the colors are like the colors from an olive grove and the sea, the silvery green. And instead of delineating the color fields on the canvas, he created 4 separate panels.
Wow, that's why it
So
looks
separate.
bonded. Or, oh, I see. It's actually 4
Why
canvases.
The paint mixed with wax, so it gives it a really intense, lush feeling.
So is this transported in pieces, or is it always together? Is
It's
it
always together.
okay? This work
Does
is
it come
finished,
apart? I don't know.
right?
That I don't
That
know.
would be interesting to know
But
from
it's
the
always
transporter.
displayed this way,
Oh, I
and
see.
this is part of our permanent collection.
Excellent choice, DMA.
So we've got to see, we're going to go around. I like to do this exhibit opposite from the way.
They laid it out. Hi. The quilt.
So I mentioned they purchased 4 quilts from Souls Grown Deep. This is the only one from Souls Grown Deep. Okay. These
How
2,
similar to the what's his
This
name?
is so modern.
What's her
Diebenkorn.
name? No, not Diebenkorn. but
Truitt?
Truitt. That's a lady, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Anne Truitt. Oh, and I forgot. So I went to Dia Beacon. It's a large contemporary space, and they had a room full of Anne Truitt columns. A room, no, actually
Oh,
2.
full room of them.
Yeah.
How wonderful.
She is a fantastic writer as well. She's incredible. She's not alive anymore. She was incredibly well read. And the piece that we looked at is titled Come Onto These Yellow Sands, which I didn't know the reference. I had to look it up. It's from Shakespeare, from The Tempest.
Oh, okay.
So it's a scene after the shipwreck, and it's the song that Ariel, it's the first line of the song that Ariel sings. So it's welcoming the people that have been
Shipwrecked, yeah, by the storm, yeah.
so
So
from
interesting.
Yellow Sands. So the very explicit reference to ocean.
I wonder how the Black Artists Group,
Gold blue.
I wonder how the Black Artists Group and artists like Truett, and that she's not the only one doing these vertical sections. As a colorist critic, I've been focused on sections of color. But the similarity between this quilt and this is the Soul Group, right? This is the Black Artist Group.
Right.
The similarity to this and Truett.
The sensibility is so.
Right. It's just like it's not an old family quilt. It's a work of art.
Well, this is from a collective of women in Gee's Bend, Alabama. And they, in recent years, have really been given a lot of attention. Before that, they were completely overlooked. But you can see the sophistication of the art, and the quilting goes back to slave times.
Yes.
So quilting didn't come from Africa. This was a
Came
European
from descendants of
art
slaves.
that the women of the plantation taught to
Certain
the
slaves.
so that they could manufacture the bedding and quilts needed for the plantation. But then the slaves took this art form, made it their own. And
Very much
like
so.
many African American artists, this particular artist, Amelia Bennett, uses found material to give a reference to biographical
A family.
history. So these are from work clothes.
You know, I'm sitting here finding myself amazed that your curator chose to include the black women.
And it plays off of this so beautifully, I think.
Right. And they themselves, I'm sure, got very cold. And to this day, when you clean these holes all the time, and I'm hot all the time, and so quilt's something they really did try to survive and glorify.
Yeah, and the African Americans who crafted these quilts in the South would put monograms or symbols into them, and I've read during the time of the Civil War, put codes into the quilts, how to reach cattle.
That is fantastic.
So this is also by an African American artist, but this is taking an old quilt and using it as a canvas.
Oh, he painted.
So he didn't create this. That was part of the quilt, but painted these symbols and coding over it.
The lines of paint,
Yeah.
like drizzling upward.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's like he was saying something's coming out of the past.
Yeah, like a storm rising.
The rain is going backwards. The people are raining upwards.
It's very evocative.
Very thoughtful evocative.
And look at all the glitter that he had.
Yeah, with the glitter.
So I'm following now a whole school of thought for modernists because one of the things I analyze a lot in my criticism is vertical space. I will tell an artist that I'm reviewing, you have this power over vertical space that you're expressing and that you're doing. And so one of the things I wanted to say about this piece is how his figures, which is the only blue in this sea of white, which isn't really white, is an attack on vertical spaces. 3 vertical spaces.
Yeah.
But in the middle of this
So
broad canvas.
which is the negative space theory?
Right. That's a whole new question I hadn't thought about, because then that makes these white city buildings, which is a statement in of itself. These castles that they're building, I have to ask my friends about castles, cities as castles, and why me as a meritocrat, I think that they are like castles. They aren't hopeless places with the ghosts of the victims of our society wailing like ghosts. They're a place of hope where there'll be kings and queens in the future of merit, not of family name or feudalism. But what do you have to say about the Americans and their block cubist roots and how they conquer vertical space versus horizontal space. This is a perfect example.
When I look at this, I'm from New York City.
So you saw the
So
negative.
I read it as a cityscape, and when I look at this, I see this as a cityscape.
Oh, I
too,
see.
Okay.
Even though there weren't cities. I mean,
well, that's just like that's what I bring to it.
no, this was actually done later, right?
Yeah, this was 1930s.
Okay, so there were
1929.
cities by then.
Probably not enough, This.
But she knew of New York and she knew of Chicago.
I don't think I think she intended pure abstract. Is
I
what
think,
I think.
yeah.
But I'm saying when I read it, that's what I read.
Now, who is this artist?
This is Wanda Cook. Yeah. And she created this. Now, this says, this is interpreting the New York skyline. After her mother's death, she did this as a
tribute.
tribute, yeah.
Interesting. But it is still attacks, these sections are very much like the heart and soul of modern abstractism, And I always talk about my artists that I'm reviewing and how you're conquering realism with abstractism without ever telling us, your audience, oh, these are buildings, oh, and you've done that. So maybe they looked at her, when was this done?
Pretty recently.
Oh, okay, yeah.
2016.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, and look again with the color
It's not
section.
solid white.
Yeah, I'm so into color sections. And so I kind of see this as two huge color sections, one blue one above that we don't see the sky. And you confirmed it by saying that there's a skyline. So, very fascinating. Very fascinating. Are we looking at modern photographers as well?
I'm going to skip over this one.
Okay.
We're never going to get through.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I am going to talk about this one. So Faith Reingold
Beautiful.
is a textile artist, but also a painter, but also a writer.
Wow.
She has written children's books.
Oh, I did. When you said writer, my eyes instantly focused on all the people
Right.
down by the river.
Right. So she was born, lived most of her young adult life in Harlem. Always dreamed of moving to New Jersey. Because
When you live in Harlem.
City, you dream of New Jersey.
Right, it's the suburbs.
So she bought property and intended to build a studio and garden in Englewood, New Jersey, and faced a lot of hostility and prejudice. People who didn't want a black person in the neighborhood.
That's my life now. I just moved in Turtle Creek.
Did not want an artist. So
You're making me want to go out on the sidewalk in front of the house and paint.
to try to deal and work through this, she started to examine the history of African Americans in that part of New Jersey. And she created a series of tapestries. So this is number 5, coming to Jones Road. Jones Road is where she lived in New Jersey.
It's like a
And
baptismal.
it's out of 6. So this is showing escaped slaves during the Civil War making their way north.
Wow.
And if you read what she has written, it's part of the story.
So she's a writer, and she wrote.
So I've got it here so we don't have to stand on our head. But this part of the story says, our worst night was when we followed the river deep into the swamps. We was all weary from running from dogs and fighting snakes, and we were so hungry and there was nothing to eat. Just before daybreak, we reached a clearing in the woods where some white folks had gone away and left to find good food untouched. Lord, did we had a party in the woods. We ate and drank real good for the first time since we could remember. Somebody said maybe the food was left there to poison us. But Arndor, that's one of the characters in this story, said, Hope they believe in some more, cause ain't no more here. And with the poison, they sure don't happen. So,
I'm wondering if the food was left by abolitions.
maybe.
She's a wonderful colorist, of course. It's so dark.
With reference to Matisse also.
Well, even despite it being night, if you look at a Van Gogh picture almost of the same thing at night, it's so filled with light. Starry Night is much brighter than this. So I'm amazed by her palette. Look at the purple of the trees. Yeah,
When you look at this from a distance, initially, it looks very dreamy, romantic, casual.
And then you find out it's a slave
And then
tableau.
you realize and think about how starving those people have been.
Oh,
That they thought, maybe this is poison, but
I'm hungry. So this show was about photographers, which photography I haven't even tried to criticize yet. Even though I have a good friend, Connie John, who's a photographer.
Left by abolitions. The more I think about it, the first time I read it, the flowers around the band. Then I'm starting to think, or on purpose.
So
Again, with the cloth, this show is very focused on cloth art.
but it's meant to look like tapestry.
Oh, wow.
This is screen, like window screen.
Uh-huh.
She pushes the acrylic paint through from the back to create these little nurdles.
Right.
So it looks like beads, right?
It looks like quilting or cloth.
Or embroidery,
Right.
but it's the paint. You can see the screen here. So she pushes it through
Wow.
and, like creates the texture.
Well, she did an amazing job of she did an amazing job of maintaining a painter's perspective, a visual artist or a painter's perspective. Because I was gonna say when we walked up, wow, who is this black Picasso doing his own version of Vera? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Her name
It's so African. I mean, it's very Afrocentric.
Because she took her inspiration from ancient Greece, ancient Egypt.
Oh, okay.
So what she wanted
Yeah.
to do was to have the feeling of a frieze, people marching across, like you see in Egyptian art.
Right.
She's actually got about 12 women hidden in here.
I see that some are close and some are further back.
So one here, and her hands are here, here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She's upside down. Okay.
Okay. Oh, she just hid them in there.
11. And if this is a person, that would be 12.
Okay, that is a person. That's an eye, nose, and a mouth.
Do you see another? Oh, yeah.
But do you know that when you said her inspiration was Egypt, I looked at the gourd, whatever that is, and the little pot. Where's the little pot? It just took me all the way back to Egypt. It's hard. Once you find something in it, don't lose sight of it because you may not ever find it again. But yeah, there it is. That is so Egyptian looking.
Yeah.
And it's elements that do that. Well, I guess we better not. Now, what's her name again?
Summer Wheat.
Summer Wheat. Her parents knew she was going to be an artist.
Her given name.
Yeah, they knew she was going to be an artist, and she's doing the wheat grains in her art. Is she still living?
Yeah, she's a young.
Her Grace. Okay. Her summer wheat is already in. She's a known artist. Are you seeing this? She's in the DMA show. She's a known artist. She's making it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is another piece from Souls Grown Deep.
Wow, it's all
This is
sculptural.
Ronald locket.
It's not cloth at all.
It's metal.
Right. Old rusty metal.
Yeah.
And an old grate. But it just has a wonderful thing to it. Y'all just did the show for Laura Owens,
Right.
who has her eyes so focused on modernism. And she does grates. And she also does floating shapes over the grates.
You're right. All those grids.
She had, how old is this?
This is 96.
Okay, that's not old at all. So this is another Laura Owens who is working in the visual media.
Just to protect it from that, the rusty edges and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I think he wants it to deteriorate more.
Well, I'm talking with the safety for the
For the museum.
You might cut yourself. You might.
Well, somebody might come along and break a piece of
It
it.
wouldn't take away from the art to put a plastic cover over that.
I assure you he has a lot of photographs of this, and now the Revolution TV channel does too. And any change, somebody will notice.
If we put a plastic, it wouldn't take away from him. Do you think it takes away?
I do, it does take away from it. Yeah.
Well, here there's so much texture.
Not a very flat painting. You're not ruining.
With all the paintings that protected museum glass on them.
Yeah.
Do you think you lose something when you have museum glass on the painting?
I do.
I kind of do also.
But I don't think it's for something like that, I don't think it's a huge deal.
It's like our Van Gogh painting in Reed. He has glass on that, doesn't take away, does it? Our Van Gogh has plastic on it.
But I know that they have to conserve it.
Because for years it didn't have it protected. I guess I'm saying.
Summer Weeks.
Yeah.
And this three-dimensional piece is Louise Nelson.
Insurance may require, more so than
Reminds of that.
owners, they have different insurance on their paintings, and they have different, some are for.
I'd like to show you this one.
Yeah.
This is another from Soul Scrutiny. So Nellie Mae Rowe was a woman who had a very hard life. She was born into a sharecropper's family. The kids were hired out as day laborers.
Wow.
She married her first husband, thought she was taking a step up, but that was not a good marriage. She remarried a much older man, thought that would be a better situation. It wasn't. And then finally, when he died, she was on her own and could turn her attention to her art. And she drew this is felt tip pen and ballpoint.
Oh,
And
excellent.
she did this soon after getting a diagnosis of terminal cancer. So she did this about a year before she died.
Oh,
And her paintings are very biographical and symbolic. So what she tried to do, she calls this picking cotton because she hated picking cotton. She thought it was degrading and horrible manual labor. And she tried to pack everything that she hated into this picture. So she shows herself and she's bent over like she's picking cotton. But this is more of a garden. And she's got kind of a party dress on. But then instead of the sack for the cotton, it morphs into a female form in a very submissive sexual position. And she has
I wonder why she did that.
references.
You know, when you said she was diagnosed with cancer, she's reacting to that. And so we are seeing some of her darkness. We're seeing some of her inner
Yeah,
darkness.
like to
Whatever she
unpacking
accuses of the world.
lifelong marriages.
Oh, okay. They kind of drained her, like these animals eating at her tree.
I've seen this described as a black dog or a mule,
Right.
but a mule is a subservient creature, and black because she had death on her mind. And then this woman is obviously a white woman, kind of giving her I'm looking over you, I'm supervising you.
With big hair, which now historians are saying is part of a cultural jealousy almost of black women whose hair just does that
And
naturally.
This is supposed to be a rap. So
Oh.
again, something that she detested, something unpleasant. And then
That's so stylized, almost like an Aztec. Even the fish there, all of these animals are stylized Aztec almost.
and here, and they're plucking fruit or cherries. So it could be sexual, or it could be, scavenging, taking advantage.
I wouldn't be surprised if she saw Aztec murals and steles when she was young, just looking in a history book or something.
And then the man with a green face, watching her work, which I read as a complaint that she had about her husband's watching her work and not doing work themselves. So this, the green man and the white woman sitting at other.
Well, non-artists view what we do as playing until someone tells them, well, my daughter's playtime just sold for $1 million at Sotheby. Then suddenly maybe they start to.
I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit.
I'm sorry.
This
we're
is the
distracting
last
you.
acquisition from Soul
So-
From Deed.
Well, this is such a mature school of art they have.
Yeah.
They're still existing in a single studio space, or is it a nationwide?
No, they're completely separate.
Each artist in the enclave lives separately.
It's not an enclave.
How are they
It's-
calling
it's-
themselves Souls Gone Deep?
It's an organization that was created by a collector and an art historian by Bill Arnett.
Kind of like Bill put in some seed money too? or-
Yeah, and I guess raised, but he was attempting to collect and shine a light on these artists, and he didn't feel it was happening. He couldn't, they weren't getting respect from major institutions the way he thought they should, and so that's why he created the foundation.
Okay, three things. It's so three-dimensional, which is something the non-schools
This is Thornton Dial.
Yes.
Again, this is an African American man, worked his whole life in welding and construction.
My
He
goodness.
did art on the side with found objects, lots of biographical meaning, and when he retired, after a life of working hard, then he was able to turn to his art full time.
Our bodies are just like crutches, bound by flesh tendons. And I'm sorry if I'm
He created
over-interpreting.
this particular piece after he had been in the hospital and recovered from a serious illness.
Oh.
So this is called Construction of the Victory. So you can look at this.
Yeah, bones and
blood,
flesh.
Blood and
Your body
gore,
opened up for surgery.
but also the victory. So the crutches, the flowers,
And only Christ or God could get you through.
the gold, and obvious religious reference and all.
There's the Laura Owens grate. I swear I'm going to be seeing that grate in every piece
So
of modern
a gate
art.
or
A
tombstone.
gate, all right. And he used normal things from the house, plastic flowers,
Yeah.
crutches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you look
Wonderful.
hard on that one and see what that says?
Wonderful artist. Wonderful artist. Well, just show us whatever you like now with the time that you have left. Your favorite.
I'll show. Well, I already showed you my.
I know, but whatever's left that's your favorite that you haven't shown.
This is not my favorite, but I do
It's
have
important.
to show this to you. So this is a living artist
Yes.
who was very affected by his mother's suicide. So
Oh.
he did silk screens. He incorporated her ashes into this work.
How wonderful.
And American Tragedy was one of her favorite books. I think she was even buried with it. So he created the silk screen of the cover of the book, and then as he was, applying the squeegee to create the silk screen, measured out ashes from her funeral urn into the resin.
What a statement of grief and artistry. But part of the American story, because it's like I'm gonna dare
And
to use this
I've
medium.
not read this book, but
I have long back in the 70s.
yeah, it's one of these books that it was famous. There was a play. There was, I think, multiple movies based on
I
it.
don't think I've seen the movie.
So His Grace is still living? He's still living?
Yeah.
I call him His Grace. That's a meritocratic term. And she's the Duchess Marjorie.
So this is also an African American artist. So let me think. We've got Thornton Dial.
It is very well, it's more diverse than
Yeah.
diverse, the amount of African Americans in the show.
Yeah. So Lonnie Holly is not from Salt's Grown Deep, but he is an African American artist.
You see the African faces.
This is kind of a sort of a monument.
It's a pyramid.
Sort of Egyptian. And I looked at the plan for this exhibit. This was supposed to be a museum
So you could kind of walk around it,
because it's 360. So here you can.
really see it completely. Oh yeah, it's very complete in that side.
But I think that he repurposed it.
He
I don't-
did some kind of treatment to it.
Yeah, I don't think that this is, out of the ground sort of sandstone.
Yeah, he did something to it. It's just like I said, it's just something. It doesn't really explain his technique. Well, the other wall is sort of interesting, and they have several sculptures in the middle. Are any more of these African Americans that you know of? And what about this piece? This is weird.
This is a Brazilian woman.
Wonderful. It speaks to me. It's like
Society with the corrupt underbelly, with literally.
right. Behind the white marble facade is a seeming underbelly of just the guts of society. And this was a map, I guess. It looks like it's still abstract, but it looks like a map almost.
Look at it up close.
Since you looked at that, on the magnification your skin.
Wow, he actually did tiny detail. Oh, okay. This is a collage. Wow. I know a collage artist who would just be blown away. He would never imagine doing this. But collage is his art form. And he would just never imagine. And who is our artist? It looks like he's still living.
A black man, a rich race, one of his children run into his arms when his hands are empty. What that has to do with this, I'm not sure, but that's a
Yeah, that might have been his life philosophy. And I don't know about my friend, the collage artist. They're almost like children. He gathers together these bits and pieces that make him feel all this stuff. He immediately cuts them out or cuts the square, and then he holds them for a long time. He lives with them. And all of a sudden, then there's an artwork. So, yeah, this is very interesting. And His Grace is still living. All right, we got one more room. That was meant to be the start. Wow, I love that.
Yeah, this
That's Laura
this is
Owens
the one I want to show you
inspiring.
in this room. number 40, Fort Worth.
Ah, Revolutionary Code.
It's called Levelland. Have you ever been to Levelland, Texas?
No?
So it's due west of Lubbock. I think the whole county is probably like 15,000 people, and it's flat. So Levelland is flat. But this is the sky over Levelland. And he does a lot of puffy paintings, just like this. So it's foam. It's covered with canvas.
Oh, I'm surprised you know that he even broke down and told the world, because we would have no idea.
And
I mean, if he didn't tell us.
He uses boat paint to give this real shiny.
What kind of paint?
Boat paint.
Oh, okay.
To give this
Listen,
real shiny gloss to it.
if this was the Laura Owens show, and this is very like her, I would say with her Grace standing right there, again with the puffy stacks of paint, using whole buckets of acrylic to make these big stacks. But that isn't what he did, and probably isn't what Laura did with her bedroom. Did you see the show when she was here? And you could walk in the bedroom. It was a canvas, a walk-in canvas. And I thought to myself, with the Duchess right there, I said, this could be stacks of paint. We don't know, we aren't allowed to touch.
If you look him up, he does a lot of things. Like
Impasto.
just different shapes.
This is a whole new realm of impasto, making it into a sculpture. Or a frieze, would you call that a bas relief? Or?
Yeah, you could call it kind of bodily. You could.
So we're seeing some photographs of actual art installed in the landscape.
This is Robert Smithson, and he was he did big earthworks and was, fascinated with the idea of altering natural landscape. So here he's interposed these mirrors, and we have a work here at the DMA that is sometimes on display. Maybe you've seen it, the mirrors with Shelley Sand.
Yes, I know. It's a really good work.
So it's Smithson's work. Is all of this then considered one of his sculptures? It's like spread out?
No,
these are several.
These are prints created from slides.
So these are several installations.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's this guy who did artwork into the landscape to protect the land from government, eminent domain or whatever, because the only thing they couldn't cross over if there's an original American artwork.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's intriguing.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to zip to the next room. These are prints
Prints.
by James Turrell.
And is this a living gentleman? Yes. Yeah.
So he has
He has a black sounding name, is he? A black man that you know? Yeah, he sounds like a black man. What are we going to say about him?
that he has a installation in Arizona that he's been working on for many years.
Wow.
He's kind of like Smithson, where he creates in the landscape.
Wow.
So these are prints based on what he's doing in Arizona.
Oh.
So this is a
Dallas.
photo, downtown Dallas, taken in the year 2000. And after a rainy day, so the puddles there on the roof of the garage give a really interesting effect. The other colored photographs in this gallery are by Steve Short, who is credited as being one of the photographers who really made color photography an art form in the 60s.
Yeah, and to this day, black and white photography by master photographers is kind of considered the height of the art. So what you're saying took some doing for
Right.
him to make color as artistic as just the context and
But
everything.
his landscapes are very, there's nothing exceptional
Wow.
about them.
A kind of
at all.
commonality.
You know,
Of
it's
subjects.
just the color, the construction, the design.
Also the composition, how the building sits in the middle of the space.
Yeah, composition actually.
And this car going off the side. I remember the nun, the now famous nun who taught me art. She would say, you want to create your space off the canvas as well. That's interesting. He's an interesting photographer. Like you said, there's nothing like spectacular odds
Yeah.
in any of them. It's just scenes from America.
So I'm only docent who could tell you this. I'm married to Stephen Shore, but not this Stephen Shore. My Stephen Shore is also a part-time photographer.
Oh, wonderful.
They were born 2 months apart.
Uh-oh. Isn't that a
He
coincidence?
occasionally gets emails
And they think it's him?
visiting his Facebook page.
Uh-huh.
Who think he's this Stephen Shore.
So just to dissemble. Right.
Create that confusion, but people, you know.
I think it's absolutely supernatural that our docent and we met and everything has come together for a reason.
Okay, so now we're back at the beginning. So from sea to shining sea, and
Yeah.
so
Who's the small little, or is that an oil painting?
I don't know this artist. I think it's the lady Maureen Delay.
How Japanese. I mean, you know, our feng shui almost. And you know, y'all, you use big words that I don't use in writing essays yet, like minimalism. What is that? What is minimalism, and does this qualify?
I don't know exactly. Minimalism is representational.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's an actual scene,
It's like
It's not exactly
like opera.
Hopper, yeah.
Oh, like Hopper, yeah.
Exactly impressionism either. It's yeah, that's a good comparison.
because
Impressionistic
the house,
minimalism.
where are the windows? Hardly any.
He wanted white sections, like all good modernist colorists do. I appreciate DMA for including this. Maureen Gullis.
So
And maybe still living. She's an old lady in New York.
I would recommend this book.
Yes.
And Truett, yes.
Daisy.
I had a great time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I applaud the docent.
Yeah, and I really appreciate all the insights. You gave me more things to look
We
for.
could dominate your time. We had you to
Because
ourselves.
I have a lot of, I just need some help from the visual channel. I'm musical, and so, well, I feel in my head a very soft child, and I have a little disability with facial recognition for speech, and just processing information. Usually a really masterpiece film I want to see, and usually it is good like this. You get the process very fast.
We'll leave you with Deben Corn, the most representational of well-known abstractists. Use something I said in review. Look at that yellow, not just the color sections, especially that turquoise section. It's what I was talking about in the essay, Color Memory. So we'll leave you now.